face me. And if you ain't talking about the money, somebody tell me, get the fuck out my face with me. And I'm like, also ATL. Also ATL. Also ATL. Also ATL. These are the books that I have on my to be read list. A lot of them are thrillers because that's what I prefer to read. So if you are a thriller fan, then this video is definitely for you. But I do have one romance book that I do plan on reading. So let's get into it. So first I have Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. Yeah, okay, this is the excerpt that they give. They say you can never go home again, and for Persephone Frazier, ever since she made the biggest mistake of her life a decade ago, that has felt too true. Instead of spending glittering summers on the lakeshore of her childhood, she stays home in a stylish apartment in the city, keeping everyone a safe distance from her heart. Until she receives the call that sends her racing back to Barry's Bay and into the orbit of Sam Florrick, the man she never thought she'd have to live without. For 6 summers, through hazy afternoons on the water and warm summer nights working in his family's restaurant, Percy and Sam had been inseparable. Eventually, that friendship turned into something more before it fell sporadically apart. When Percy returns to the lake for Sam's mother's funeral, their connection is undeniable as it has always been. But until Percy can confront the decisions she's made, they'll never know whether their love is bigger than the biggest mistakes of their past. Told over the course of 6 years and 1 weekend, Every Summer After is a gorgeously nostalgic look at love and the people and choices that mark us forever. This is a romance book. I actually got this book through a blind date with a book package that I got from the TikTok shop. So I'm excited for this one. The next one is The Current by Tim Johnston. It says, in the dead of winter outside a small Minnesota town, state troopers pull 2 young women from an icy river. Only one survives, and the news of the crime for this was no accident awakens the community's memories of another young woman who lost her life in the same river 10 years earlier. A murder that was never solved. Determined to find answers in both crimes, the surviving young woman plunges into an investigation. But the more she learns, the closer she comes to dangerous truths and to the violence that ceased just below the surface of her hometown. So this is another one that I got as a blind date with the book package. So these 2 are blind date with the books. So can't wait for those. I got this one a little minute ago. It's They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. And I seen this one when I was shopping in Ingles, okay? And it was like 20% off. And I was like, well, let me see what it's about. And it actually sounded good. It sounded really good. So I'm like, let me buy it. But that's the synopsis of it. Okay, it says, every year Dr. Scarlett Clark plots the demise of the worst man at Gorman University. She's avoided drawing attention to herself, but as she's preparing for her biggest kill yet, the school starts probing into the body count on campus. Keeping her enemies close, Scarlett insinuates herself into the investigation and charms the woman in charge. Everything's going to plan until she loses control with her latest victim. Meanwhile, Gorman student Carly Schiller is finally free of her abusive father and just trying to survive her freshman year. But when her best friend is assaulted at a party, Carly becomes obsessed with making the attacker pay and turning her fantasies of revenge into reality. This one is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager or Sager. I don't know, but it's by Riley. And I got this one from an app called Whatnot, and somebody was selling it for like, I don't know, I think I got it for like $5, not even gonna lie. And once she basically read what it was about, I was like, yep, gotta get that one. But it's normally priced at $17 and I got it for $5 on there. So if you want some cheap used books, go to Whatnot. But this one is about, okay, it says 25 years ago, Maggie Holt and her parents, Yvonne and Jess, moved into Bainbury Hall, a rambling Victorian estate in the Vermont woods. 3 weeks later, they fled in the dead of the night, an ordeal Yvonne later recounted in a non-fiction book titled House of Horrors. His horror memoir of ghostly happenings and encounters with malevolent spirits became a worldwide phenomenon, rivaling the Amityville horror in popularity and skepticism. Today, Maggie is a restorer of old homes and too young to remember any of the events mentioned in her father's book, but she also doesn't believe a word of it. Ghosts, after all, don't exist. When Maggie inherits Bainbury Hall after her father's death, she returns to renovate the place to prepare it for sale. But her homecoming is anything but warm. People from the past, chronicled in House of Horrors, lurk in the shadows, and locals aren't thrilled that their small town has been made infamous thanks to Maggie's father. Even more unnerving is Bainbury Hall itself, a place filled with relics from another era that hint at a history of dark deeds. As Maggie experiences strange occurrences straight out of her father's book, she starts to believe that what he wrote was more fact than fiction. So this is another one. I can't wait to get started on that one. This was another blind date with a book that I got from TikTok Shop as well. And I think this one is a thriller, along with this one. This is a thriller and this is a thriller, but it's My Sweet Girl by Amanda Jayatisa. It's the excerpt. Okay, it says, ever since she was adopted from a Sri Lankan orphanage, Paloma has had the best of everything: schools, money, and parents so perfect that she fears she'll never live up to them. Now 30 years old and recently cut off from her parents' funds, she decides to sublet the second bedroom of her overpriced San Francisco apartment to Arun, who recently moved from India. Paloma has to admit it feels good helping someone find their way in America. That is, until Arun discovers Paloma's darkest secret, one that could jeopardize her own fragile place in the country. Before Paloma can pay Arun off, she finds him face down in a pool of blood. She flees the apartment, but by the time the police arrive, there's no body and no evidence that Arun had ever even existed in the first place. Paloma is terrified this is all somehow tangled up in the desperate action she took to escape Sri Lanka so many years ago. Did Paloma's secret die with Arun, or is she now in greater danger than ever before? That's a good one. These are all the books that I have on my TBR right now, and I'm trying to get done with them at least by the end of, I would say, September, mid-October, because I work, okay?